Buddy, hello Gravitrons. I'm more Gravity. Let's play chess. We'll review this game that I finished about 20 minutes ago. I had the white pieces, and I ended up winning the game. It was a really well. Before we get to the moves, George, let's look at that. The game was high accuracy on the winning end and high accuracy on the losing end. So I feel like it's a good game to go over because it doesn't have much garbage. There's no garbage involved, no bad stuff. Mostly good moves, strong moves. We can analyze best lines and so on. E4, E5, knight F3, knight C6, C4, D6, knight C3, bishop G4. I want to pause it here. It's white's turn to move. Black has placed this nasty bishop on the knight at F3, and I'm not sure if I handled this correctly. There are different ways to handle this. First of all, if your knight's still on b1, you can push d3 and put a knight on d2, and then the knights protect. You can also play bishop to d2, and then you've got enough protecting against the pin that is now broken, and this bishop was to be a bad bishop anyway, a light squared bishop hitting into pawns of his own color. You also can put the question to the bishop to h3. White hasn't castled yet, so maybe after bishop h5, then g4 and bishop to g6. That's not as good a thing to do after you've castled, but as I haven't castled yet, it's a potent weapon against this pin. And then finally to notice that if the queen forays over to a4, create a pin of her own on the c6 knight, maybe the bishop captures on f3 and g takes f3 isn't all that bad a thing anyway. Let's see. So how did I think I dealt with this by ignoring it. Once in a while, sometimes there's a threat on the board. You deal with it by ignoring it. No, I did not do that. I played bishop e2, a stronger right away way of dealing with it. But sometimes you can play. I was thinking I would have played d4, but d4 is not a good move because both black's e5 pawn and knight at c6 cover d4, so that wouldn't be the way. So I think I did. I played the best move, computer best move as well, and that this bishop is not, the most wildly active placed bishop is not such a bad thing because he wasn't going to be anyway with all these light squared pawns. Bishop takes f3. Bishop takes f3. I don't know. I mean, isn't the point of bishop g4 mostly to double white's kingside pawns to the side, and that being the side that white is most likely to castle? But to give up the minor exchange on f3 at the cost of no moves for white is just like, this is a piece that's moved twice, and the knight that the black bishop captured has only moved once. Not only that, but isn't bishop takes f3 more promising rather than less promising? So I'm a little bit critical of bishop takes f3. I captured with my bishop, of course, not to disturb my pawn structure. And bishop to e7, followed by pawn to d3, knight to d4, castles kingside. We're sort of showing black the way with. We're not showing black the way. We're showing our force against black by superior development, sooner castling or quicker castling, I guess you could say. I'm not exactly sure. Better development, sooner castling, quicker castling, and a slightly larger central presence. The black has a good central presence of his own. White is slightly stronger in the center. So for those reasons, I'm about on board with Torch here, with white being better by about 0.2 pawns. Torch, you'll remember, is arguably the greatest chess engine. It is up there with like Stockfish and Komodo, Houdini, Fat Fritz, and so on. The rendition we're using for this analysis, we haven't actually started using it, but the Torch controls this progress bar, and we're on torch 4, and it's a very accurate, very quick, and very strong chess computing program. Now we had knight to f6. White will play queen to a4 check. And sometimes we're even here we're not all that worried about maybe queen d7 and capturing, settling into a end game that features a strongly outposted knight for black on d4, but that can be done away with in a number of ways. Probably just get the bishop to e3 and trade him off. So there would be like a pretty equal queenless middle game, with of course endgame the most likely to follow. But instead, my opponent chose queens on the board, so hats off for that. Pawn to c6 and knight to d5. I played knight to d5 here, taking advantage of the pin. My opponent trades this really well outposted knight for bishop on f3. However, we know that we're capturing back in a way that weakens white's pawn shield. So this is a good move, probably, as it says, computer best move, and I agree with it. Shatter that pawn shield. This file is looking dangerous against white. On the other hand, with the pawn at f3, we are controlling our opponent's knight 3 out of 4 of the aggressive moves, this one being the exception, this one to h5, without committing all that much firepower to it, all that much horsepower or oomph. Chutzpah, if you will. I think it's chutzpah, but there's a C when you spell it. Chutzpah, some kind of energy or something. I believe I'll look it up in when I'm off air, maybe. I'll just look it up right now. It's Yiddish, I believe. Yeah, a Yiddish term, supreme self-confidence, audacity, or nerve. I didn't realize it had these, often bordering on insolence or arrogance. I didn't realize it had quite that extreme notation. But yeah, chutzpah, I thought it meant like energy and stick-to-itiveness. So now you know. Now we know. Knight takes d5 and c takes d5 puts black in a position where he has to wonder how's he going to defend the pawn at c6 when some of these trades would just lead him in check, and worse off, there's the temptation maybe to block with queen d7 and then the rook's gone, but no, he's not going to do that. He's going to play king to f8. So excellent move. Castle right out of that. He says, my opponent says, nope, that is not for me. And d takes c6, pawn takes c6, queen takes c6, and I say, extra pawn, guys, extra pawn. Or wasn't exactly free, but a hard-earned extra pawn. I take time here. This is one of these moves I come by once in a while. It shows that I'm maturing as a chess player with this experience that I've been able to play over 11,000 chess games in the last 3 years. Blitz or rapid, by the way. So blitz and slower on that. So this is not whimsy types of experience. Anyway, king to h1 ahead of time. I said, but he's going to capture your bishop, but then I'm going to capture his bishop. But then he's going to capture your rook, but then I'm going to capture his rook. And I'll have control of the file as a result. Versus, the natural move, or at least for me, what was natural for a long time would be bishop takes g5. So then queen takes g5 is just about forced. Check, queen takes g5 check, and the king moves to h1. It's similar, except now black's queen is in a better position. Invading along the c file is not out of question. So why not make king to h1 first? We play king to h1. We're on light squares, so the missing, black's missing light squared bishop cannot haunt us where we are. The queen, there are no, black has no safe checks. There's no, there are no, not only no safe checks, there are no checks at all on the board right now. So that's also goes to one of our forces, king safety. White has good king safety right now. I'm going to develop while capturing, and then I believe I trap. No, okay, so this isn't the right move. I had thought I could. During the game I thought I trapped the f4 pawn by way of queen to f5. It turns out that doesn't quite do it. I think we did see that during the game. Let's take a look. Rook c2. Yeah, so maybe b3 soon, but then that allows for time and build up. I'm not exactly sure. This position is slightly unclear to me. I capture the pawn, so I'm up 2 pawns, and otherwise the position is unclear. And I think Torch 4 and I are agreeing on this. This is an unclear position. But in those types of situations, you'd rather be up the material, because if clarity occurs, you're up the material and you got the material lead. If it stays unclear, then it's randomness and chaos and the exigencies of battle and 50-50 and that kind of thing. Maybe. I think that's probably true. I'm not certain about it. Rook takes b2, and white decides to play rook to g1. Now, in all of this, we're giving up one of our extra pawns. Maybe that was, could black have gotten that by force with rook at f to b1, then the f2 pawn falls, and it looks like maybe there's some attacks coming, though our queen is helping to defend. I don't know. But yeah, with rook, I wouldn't like rook to b1. No. So I'd say that maybe one of these pawns was going to fall regardless of white's intentions. And now rook to f2, and I pounced on best move. It's the only good move. I pounced right on it. And I'd say visually it's not there right away. So again, I'm maturing as a chess player. Queen to g3, threatening both checkmate on g7 and picking up the rook on f2. Or I guess technically I could pick up the rook on g2, but that's not what I really mean to emphasize. Once black has dealt with the checkmate threat. This is cool. This is a great move. You know, black's up against the ropes and white's winning now. But try to make as many difficulties, as many errors possible for your opponent. Rook to h2 feeds the likely queen takes h2, and then there's no checkmate threat. So it's slightly better. I recaptured correctly. King takes h2 is better because, once again, there are no, this time safe, there are no safe checks against white's queen, white's king. There are no safe checks against white's king. Bishop to h4 check, and that loses an entire queen. So with with white playing queen at g3 takes h4. So no safe checks. Keep the threat alive. Black must respond. Both clock and tempos of initiative, or tempos, both tempi and clock are slightly better this way than if queen took h2. Well, she can't do that. And pawn to f4. You know, this is a slow build-up move. I had difficulties with that 10 years ago. It's 20 years ago even. This is just a slow building move. We play once to f4 and then next to f5, and we're applying subtle but determined pressure against black's king and the pawn shield around black's king. So it's also, as such, f4 is also the computer best move. My opponent fights back in the center. If you're attacked on the flank, sometimes you can fight back in the center or the other flank. or if you're attacked in the center, if you're attacked in the center, sometimes you can fight back on one flank or the other. I said I'm not all that scared about trading, and if black wants to come down and place check, I have a good way to deal with it. I think I thought for a little bit too long in this, but 6 seconds. Yeah, but I made the right move. Is to threaten with the weaker piece. Black has to find an answer to that riddle. Like sometimes you're generating answers, you find the wrong one and click it anyway. Like I had just done here, queen to d6 would have lost black the full queen on d6. So that's part of aggressive chess. Threat after threat after threat after threat after threat, and eventually your opponent can break down in a situation where there was a really good move, but only one makes a different move, loses a bishop and 2 pawns, and grandmasters say, hey, good game, I don't know about that last part, but loses a bishop and 2 pawns, and the other side's going to win. So now I had to solve this interesting puzzle my opponent presents to me about perpetual checks, and offering this trade of queens on h3. I don't know, it might be fine, but it looked tricky if my opponent's going to then play queen to f4 check. My queen goes back, then so does his. That kind of stuff. That was I didn't really want to go down that road. Or king to g1, and where's my queen? Then maybe yeah, right. The pawn is blocking the natural check on d4. But I felt it strong to play king to g1. For right now, again, my opponent has no safe checks. It's a very important theme in endgames that include a queen. Can I prevent my opponent from delivering safe checks against me? And if you can, that's one of your king moves to consider very strongly. It's probably the way to go. Rook to c8. F takes g6. Rook to c1. So we trade. It's still best. Now I'm in check again. I have to solve this safe check conundrum again. And yeah, here the pawn move at last was not the right move. Remember, we're both pretty much in time trouble. And even save that my opponent didn't play queen h6 check, which I think was probably the right move, and then try to go for this back and forth on h6 and f4. But pawn takes g6. Black played pawn takes g6. And I think, yeah, I agree with Torch that I made the correct move in the game. Queen to b8 check. King to g7. Queen takes a7 check. And white is starting to put the screws to black. Does white have enough clock to enforce checkmate in the nick of time? We don't know. Some repetitions of moves, and now as white is definitely so much better off after the queen trade. I had been eyeing this square, I think as far back as here, something along here. I decided to just bunch up, and when my opponent moved king to g7, still sticking with that. But now the key is queen to d2 check, and black's got to trade queens or lose his or her queen, and then now white is running away with it. Wow, what a great game. I felt my opponent played a strong game. No reason for him or her to hang his or her heads. No reason for him or her to hang his or her head. we have, I played a better game. Frankly, I won, and I'm really proud of this game. So, this is going to be a game I'll visit in years to come, perhaps. Yeah, well, yeah, that no, that's true. That's true. But also like later today and stuff like that. Yes, played a good game of chess, Jordan. I'll move this so you can see that my opponent played moves. Put my hand. All right. So thank you very much. Thank you, Gravitrons. I'm more gravity. Have a great night.